Hello there guys, and welcome back to another one with us, the Review Bros, and today we're going to be reviewing a pre-workout called SHREDDED PRO. It says Strength Training Formula by SPX. So stay tuned as we cover the usuals, taste, price, label and the effects all coming at you. Will it be your next pre-workout? And if you like our videos and you haven't subscribed already, do hit the sub button, hit the bell icon. So we drop about 3 reviews a week, but let's get into this one. Okay, taste and mixability, the first segment, we've got the pleasure of trying fruit punch flavour, a pre-workout classic you might say. So will it be a nice fruit punch? Will it be a horrible fruit punch? Let's get into it. Mixability wise, it's quite a hefty serving amount, you know, it's no slouch really, I think it's about 18 grams. So there are some bits settled at the bottom, probably a little bit worse than average, but we normally find as you drink it sort of dissolves and disappears anyway. So no reason to expect any different here, but let's see how fruit punch tastes. Yeah, it's definitely not one of the better ones. It's not horrible, but there's definitely a bitter undertone to it. Like you can tell you're drinking a pre-workout, there is no illusions here. There is a bit of sweetness to it, but it is very quickly overpowered by that bitterness. You can tell it's a fruit punch flavour, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say it's a struggle to do, it's just not nice. So let me give it another go and I'll give you a score. Bearing in mind a 5 out of 10 would be bang average score out of 10 obviously. So let's see what we think. Yeah, so I would give it a 6 out of 10. It's above average. Anything below average, I'd say you start to get to a point where it's offensive and you don't really want to drink it. Over 5, doable. So yeah, 6 out of 10. Easy enough to drink. It's just not anything delicious, unfortunately. But let's move on to that price point. Okay, let's talk price. And currently these guys don't have an official website, so what you'll have to do is go to their official Instagram page, which is spx.life. Drop them a message directly and tell them you want to buy their pre-workout. They're selling it for $69 for a full 30 serving container. And when you work that out into the servings, the cost of the servings is $2.30 a go or £1.82 a go, which is a bit more on the expensive side compared to what we usually see. As on our consistent price scale, a 5 out of 10 is considered to be a bang average price product. This comes in at a 4 out of 10, so a bit more expensive than your typical pre-workout on the market. So what we'll have to do is obviously just work out what we're getting for that money in the label, and more importantly, how it comes together in the real world, aka the gym. Okay, let's get into that label. So what are we getting for that price point? Well, let's see here. So it says, this high potency blend is specifically formulated to produce massive strength gains from the first use. Killer power, focus and pump, off the charts energy and blood pumping vascularity. Strength training pre-workout formula. So let's get into it. Are we going to agree with that statement or not? So one scoop, 17.4 grams. Pretty good. Then we got, so first up, L-citrulline, 4 grams, which is an okay dose. It's pure L-citrulline. Most people like to see 6, but 4 will definitely get things moving in the form of bumping up nitric oxide levels, increasing blood flow, and ultimately getting you that pump. So we'll take it. Then next up we have glycerol, as glycerol monostrate, 2 grams, which is the lesser form of glycerol. You know, it doesn't have a high glycerol yield. 2 grams is a conservative-ish dose, though we have seen worse. But it should still have some benefits in the form of hyperhydration, obviously helping you to deliver those nutrients to the muscle cell and helping with your pump. Then we've got beetroot extract, beta vulgaris, 1500 milligrams. Again, going to help down the same lines, pump, blood flow and health. Then we've got creatine monohydrate, 1500 milligrams. We normally like to see at least 3 grams, you know, ideally 5 grams as your daily intake. So they've gone for more of a top-up scenario here rather than a standalone amount that you could just get all of your daily intake from this product alone. So yeah, you know, what can I say? We'd just prefer it, the clinical dose. But 1500 milligrams, it will top you up if you're already taking it, you know, elsewhere in a normal creatine supplement. But obviously that does help again with your power, endurance, and does play into pumps to some degree as well. Then we've got acetyl-L-carnitine, HCl, a gram, respectable dose. You know, it's all right. That's going to help with obviously using fat as energy, so it's going to help with fat burning, and it also does have focus benefits as well. Then we've got agmatine sulfate at a gram, which is an okay dose. You know, anything from a gram to a gram and a half plus is pretty decent. So that's going to help with the L-citrulline to bump up nitric oxide levels further and increase blood flow and vascularity even further. So we'll take that. Then we've got L-tyrosine at a gram, nice dose. It's the minimum we like to see. It's another amino acid. It's going to help to help you with your focus and your mood. Then we've got beta-alanine, only 500 milligrams, very interesting there. We normally like to see 3.2 grams plus as a daily intake amount because it is a saturation-based ingredient similar to creatine where you have to take it every day for a period of time to reap those benefits. In here at that dose, I'll be honest, you're probably not going to get all too much of anything. You know, it's not any substantial dose to accumulate quick enough to yield the benefits, nor will you probably highly likely not to get the tingly, itchy effects that we personally enjoy. So yeah, like I sort of touched on there, it should help with your endurance, buffering lactic acid, but you know, that comes down the line once you've taken it for long enough at a substantial dose. So I would go as far as to say almost disregard that ingredient from this formula. Then we've got caffeine anhydrous at 325 milligrams, which is not to be sniffed at. Over 3 cups of coffee worth of energy there, probably coming on to a couple of energy drinks worth of energy. It's the main stimulant in any pre-workout. It's going to wake you up and get you moving. And I'd say that's probably around about the typical amount that you'd see in pre-workouts these days. So yeah, should get you moving. Then we've got coconut water powder, 300 milligrams. We'll take that. That's obviously going to help with your hydration and electrolyte balancing and play into that pump element. Then we've got green tea extract, 250 milligrams. That's just going to help with, again, a bit more energy, tying in with that caffeine. And then we've got Eriodrensis extract, 200 milligrams, which is a decent enough dose. That's dubbed as a natural replacement for DMHA in the form of it helping you with your energy, drive and focus. Like to see it. So hopefully that gives this a bit of a kick up the bum, this formula. Then we got sage powder, 200 milligrams. It's a very healthy ingredient. It helps with a bunch of different things. The main noteworthy ones in a pre-workout context are that it helps with your cognition and it helps to fight free radicals because it's antioxidant, so it's going to help to reduce inflammation. Then we've got Elevate TP, 150 milligrams. Nice, that should tie in with the creatine from an endurance power standpoint, so we'll take those benefits there. Then we've got N-isopropanolsinephrine, 20 milligrams, fat-burning, energy-based stimulant ingredient that's going to kick in quite fast, raise your energy levels, raise your heart rate, give you sort of a heating sensation and create a bit of sense of urgency. And tying in with that, similar benefits can be said for this one, your Himbine HCl, 2 milligrams. Again, another stimulant, fat-burning, energy. Not to be confused with alpha-Himbine, which is the much more brutal, potent version of this ingredient. So yeah, hopefully nothing, you know, we don't get the nasty side effects that you can get from alpha-Himbine since it is your Himbine HCl. So we should get a bit of an energy kick from that, a bit of side note fat burning. So yeah, we'll take that on board. There's no digestive aid, so that could possibly hold it back because there is quite a few different ingredients in this formula that need to get through the body and utilised. Other than that, I would say it is an interesting formula. It is a shame about the underdosing because I feel like if everything in this formula was dosed clinical and above, it could be a force to be reckoned with. Although, like we always say, we never know how these are going to come together in the real world, aka the gym. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt moving into the real world effects. Stay tuned. Okay, let's talk real world effects with SHREDDED Pro. And does it make you a SHREDDED Pro taking this pre-workout? Well, not immediately, but perhaps down the line. Anyway, let's start off like we always do with the beta-alanine. Did we feel it? Did we not? Obviously, we didn't feel it, guys. It's only in here at 500 milligrams, so it's just simply not enough to give you much of anything. No tingles, probably no endurance benefits because it's too small of a dose. So yeah, like I said in the label section, you may as well disregard that from being in here. I would say you have to have over 2 grams to even feel the mildest tingle when it concerns beta-alanine. So you don't get any of that here. So if you like beta-alanine, you'll be a bit upset. If you don't like beta-alanine, that will be a good thing for you. Now, what I would say is, personally, you know, I just wouldn't have bothered to put it in the formula at all, because there's no clinical evidence to support that 500 milligrams of beta-alanine is going to do anything, you know, anything. But anyway, before I go down a side tangent, let's move on to the most important factor of pre-workouts, arguably, and that's the energy. And that is a strong point of this pre-workout. You know, you've got a few stimulants in here, a hefty dose of caffeine, and it comes through really nicely. I've got to say, the energy feels very noticeable, very potent, but also very steady and healthy at the same time. It lasts about 2 to 3 hours. I would say, from an energy standpoint, it feels like it's at the very top end of a daily driver, teetering towards even entry-level stim junkie. So for some people it'll be too strong to be classed as a daily. For other people, you might be able to swing it. It's sort of in that grey realm. There's no negatives concerning the energy. There's no peaks, troughs, jitters, crash, no nastiness, nothing like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed the energy on this one. There was no lack in it at all. Through the training, from the start to the finish, I felt absolutely consistently energised all the way through. And I think that that's what plays into its strength in a different realm, the endurance and the power side of things, in terms of muscular power and endurance. And that is the route they're going down with this pre-workout, I think, based on what they've said, you know, based on the ingredient selection as well. And I do think they do succeed to some degree, at least, in that sector. But I do think that that comes through not necessarily because of those ingredients, but because of that super clean, potent energy that has you training like a force to be reckoned with. So obviously what's going to come as a consequence of that is added endurance and power, isn't it? So yeah, that is noticeable, do not get me wrong. And it is a harder metric to measure with pre-workouts because it's such a vague thing. You know, like, energy is easy. You feel it, you don't, you know, da-da-da-da. Endurance and power, it could be anything. You know, you could be a bit stronger one day or a bit weaker one day based on your sleep, diet, hydration, so many things. So it's very difficult to pinpoint it and say, yes, this pre-workout made me 10% stronger. However, I have no doubt that if you was to take this for a long period of time, you know, every day for a month or two, there would be some background, you know, effects and benefits building up with some of these ingredients that I've mentioned already when it concerns your endurance and your power output. Anyway, let's move on to the other main element that we look at in these pre-workouts, and that is focus. And I do believe that to be another strong point of this pre-workout, probably sitting around about the energy level, actually. I was going to say just under, but I do think it's on par with the energy in terms of you feel very dialed in, very focused, very switched on. It's not illicit or floaty, nothing like that.
Savage pumps in the gym and the bedroom. Wolf pump.
But it is very much, you're awake, you're focused, you're on the ball. That is definitely apparent with this pre-workout. So focus, energy, both looking good so far. The third element we look at, pumps. And I've got to say, they are really, really good as well. Maybe sitting just behind the energy and the focus, not quite reaching those heights, but still above average. Obviously, you know, I've been through a label, you've got a few bits in there for pump as well, and they do come through. And again, it's kind of like they all play into one another. You get those pumps because of that high energy, high focus as well. So yeah, you get some vascularity, you get some of that sort of swelling look, you know, the Michelin Man from the glycerol and other bits and pieces. So I do think it's quite a, there's not many holes in the formula, should we say. I think they're hitting every point that we look for: energy, focus, pump, with some endurance and power benefits as well. So that's always nice to see. Another thing I almost forgot to mention is the fat burning effects of this as well. And I would say it's noticeable, it's mild, but it's not crazy. So like, for example, the yohimbine and the isopropanolsinephrine, they do definitely give you a heating sensation. Like, I noticed when I was training, I was more hot than normal, I sweated a bit more than normal, and I can only attribute that down to this pre-workout. So there is a bit of a fat burning element to it as well, albeit very mild. So this is one of those pre-workouts where it's doing everything quite good. It's not excelling and smashing it out of the park in any element, but it's doing every element we look for to at least average, if not above. So yeah, like I said, the strong suits here, the energy and the focus, the muscular endurance and the power output just behind that, and the pumps probably around that as well, around there as well. So yeah, it's hitting everything we look for to a respectable degree. Now what I'll say to round off, actually, before I get into that, there's no negatives, just to reiterate, you know, there's no struggles with digestion. I didn't find myself missing meals with appetite suppression. It didn't keep me up all night, nothing like that, so that's good. But to wrap off, what I'll say is, I would say it is worth the price point, a 4 out of 10 on our price scale, because that would suggest that it's a slightly more expensive pre-workout than a typical one on the market. But I would also argue, in line with that, that it's a slightly better than average pre-workout on the market. So I think the price is justified, but I think that it will leave some people a bit sour in the mouth when they see some of the underdosing on the label. I almost feel like they'd do themselves more of a favour if they just pulled out the beta-alanine and the creatine, for example, because those are the two most offensively underdosed ingredients in here. The rest of it, fine. Like I'll take that all day. And then they, you know, by saving the money they save from stripping out those ingredients, they can perhaps bring the price point down by a couple of dollars. Who knows? So yeah, I think that it is a very comprehensive pre-workout. It comes together very well in the gym, even arguably slightly better than the label. And I do think it's fairly priced. So what would I say? Firstly, to recommend these guys do, like I said, pull out those couple of underdosed ingredients, or indeed give them the clinical dose and keep them in the formula. You know, that would be the other alternative. And that's about it, really. Like, I think it's one of those occasions where the label is a bit annoying, you know, to some degree in some places, but it just feels good in the gym. And that's why we buy pre-workouts at the end of the day, is how they come together in the gym. And it succeeded in this one. And I'll be happy to take it again. Now, between avoid, shortlist and buy, I would say shortlist it if you're in the market for something on the stronger end of a daily driver that's ticking the boxes of pump, focus, energy, endurance and power, and even fat burning to a small degree as well. If you're after a super well-rounded product, this would be a good choice. Like I said, I've said it a couple of times already, I just wish that those other ingredients were increased in dosage just to make the formula fully complete. It's just a bit, you know, annoying to see a couple of little bits that just look like they could be tweaked a little bit. But who knows, maybe in future formulas they will do that and they'll fix those problems. But I've got to say, as it is, it's an absolutely fine pre-workout. I wouldn't say that it necessarily stands out above all the rest, like, oh my god, this is the next best thing, you've got to buy it, But at the same time, it's very good. There's no negatives, ticks all the boxes. I had a good training session every time I used it. So yeah, guys, what more is there to say? I don't know, you let me know. But yeah, have you used it? Do you want to use it? Anything else you want to see us review on the channel, let us know down below. And as always, stay stimmed.